What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Bucks on Deck podcast. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I'm sure most people had better weekends than I did. So if you didn't hear or you weren't aware, since our last show, I have one less organ in me than I did previously. I had my gallbladder removed over the weekend, so that was fun. But
I was gonna say you were looking a little lighter.
yeah, I feel a lot lighter. I mean, I asked them at the hospital if there's anything else in there that I didn't need, if we could just go ahead and take them out now. So, because I did not want to come back here. But my name is Anthony. Host here. We'll introduce my co-host real quick, Nola Jeffy. How's it going, Nola? How's your weekend? Better than mine?
Better than yours, hectic, but I mean, can't really complain. All things considered.
Yeah, that's good. So, what is it? Our last episode came out Friday morning. On there, we're coming to you Tuesday now. I think we decided that we're going to try to shoot for a Tuesday release from this point forward. That way, and you'll kind of see why, based off the format that we're going to go here. We're going to unroll here. So we're gonna start off here with a little bit of a recap with the previous week. We're gonna kind of recap each minor league affiliate, and we're each gonna like mention a player or two that kind of stood out to us here at each affiliate. We'll go ahead and start with Indianapolis. I know Indianapolis, we kind of rolled our eyes a little bit with when we did the season preview with it, but there are some things happening here. They've been playing longer than the other affiliates. They have a 5-4 record right now. Nola, we'll go ahead and start with you. Who's kind of stood out to you so far, or especially like this past week, as far as Indy?
Well, and I guess I'm probably gonna mention my two players are gonna be full season stats at this point, just because I mean you have only 3 games in the previous week, but like to mention Malcolm Nunez for right now as my hitter for Indy. Obviously a pretty tough year last year, but so far in the season, a slash at 276, 313, 552 with 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 2 walks, and 9 Ks. You'd like to see that maybe some of the plate patience and walks kick back up as the season goes on, but that's a pretty good start for him.
Yeah. I felt like he's been really solid too to start. I think we talked about him a little bit on the last show, and it's a lot of the damage he's doing is against like breaking pitches and off speed stuff and all that. So that's always a good sign. There are a lot of hitters in this system that kind of struggle with that. So if we can find a couple that can have some success, maybe we can get them moving up to like the next level and stuff like that. Maybe we could finally see Nunez in a major league jersey kind of thing.
Yeah, and although I mean he's been playing more third base than you would have expected. I mean we've talked extensively about the lack of first base prospects in the organization currently, so it would be a nice step forward.
Yep. Although I will say the first base platoon they got going in Pittsburgh right now seems pretty. They're doing pretty solid.
It's rocking right now. I mean, 92 record now, so it's rocking.
It's not often since I've started covering this team that it seems like it's far more enjoyable to watch the major league team than some of the minor league teams right now. But so far early on, there have been times where that's absolutely been the case. How about any pitchers or anything like that standing out to you so far?
Although he didn't have as fantastic of a second start as his first start. I mean, there's obviously Skeens, so everyone knows about him enough that I'm gonna point out Quinn Priester. It was a little bit of a rough start this past week. 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks to 3 Ks. Limited damage to only 2 earned runs, but so far in the season, a 2.79 ERA, 5 walks, 12 Ks. So it's a good start to the season for him as some of the immediate AAA depth.
And the thing that we noticed, especially in the first game too, that we noticed was he was really leaning in on the sinker slider combination that we've kind of been after him to more lean into heavily too. So that's good to see. Obviously, we want to see the walks come down a little bit, but as long as he's kind of leaning into the sinker slider, I think he could still have a lot of success.
Yeah, and I haven't seen if they started updating it yet, that Prospects Live database. 'Cause I know at least
know that
last
they,
year.
the one that had I checked that today. The one that had the like Arsenal Plus and stuff like that, you can toggle it to 2024. Like
Okay.
the other database and stuff like that hasn't updated with it, but you can see like the Stuff Plus and Arsenal Plus and everything like that.
Yeah,
for
because
some of it.
I
It only
believe
has
that
it had one scheme start. That's it. It didn't have a second.
okay, I was just I would imagine that TJ Stats probably has it listed, but I haven't jumped that pane for his Patreon yet to access all that information. Maybe at some point, but not yet. But I'd just like to see if his the vertical approach angle on his sinker is still showing a very sinky sinker.
I'll pull it off because, like, how do we do it in the group chat? You know, like the write off thing with it. So I'm definitely subscribed to the Patreon. He has great stuff. That TJ Stats, if you don't follow him and you're big into numbers and stuff like that. He's a really good guy to follow. I think he said he's going to have like the Florida State League stuff here by the end of the week too. So that'll be fun to start digging into that stuff. But obviously, like Quinn Priester, you know, you mentioned like Paul Skeens is the obvious guy. The guy I wanted to bring up real quick was Peguero. He had that 5-hit day. Like I think it was like Thursday, Friday. He has 13 hits in 8 games already, 10 RBIs, striking out. Yeah, I think he has like 8 strikeouts. So like that's something to watch with it. That's kind of the reason why, you know, there's still concern about him. He's still quite a bit of a free swinger there, but he's racking up the hits. Him and Nick Gonzalez, they're racking up hits there. So like they're putting themselves in a position that if the Pirates do decide to make some sort of move, and right now, obviously, they're not showing a reason to make a move because everything's running pretty smoothly in the majors. Even Alika's kind of coming up with stuff here and there and whatnot. So,
well, and that's what I mean. I know people are angry about Alika being on the roster, but I mean, the way the roster is built, Triolo is your starting second baseman, and he's the one you got to worry about putting up. Alika's just a guy that comes in a couple times a week,
and depth is a good thing to be able to say that you have 2 guys like Nick Gonzalez and Peguero hitting the way they are in AAA. That's a thing that good teams have. That's a good thing that good teams are able to say they have. So instead of like shifting straight to we need to trade one of them or one of them needs to come, just like that'll happen. It's a 162 game season. We're only 11 games in now. Like it'll come.
Either they'll get their shot or, you know, the Pirates will be in a position come middle of the season deadline and they're trying to fish for another arm or something or fill another spot and someone will want to take a flyer on them.
Yep. All right. So now shifting down to AA, Altoona played the Akron Rubber Ducks, which top 5 favorite minor league name there for at least for me. Altoona dropped 2 of the 3. Obviously, the big names down there: Bubba Chandler, Anthony Solomito. Who stood out for you down there over the weekend?
Well, pitching wise, Solomito. I mean, he walked 3 batters, but he went 4 innings, 2 Ks, and only get 1 hit, no earned runs. So, beginning of the season, and I think I saw someone mention he was kind of in the 80s with his fastball and touching 91, 92. So, but he had
Connor had mentioned it.
But he also
for Bucks Dugouts.
Yeah, and I saw I think it was Connor Williams posted about the very tough spring that Solomito had with the flu and then getting in an accident. So, and then on the hitter side, on the hitter side, wasn't much to go off of with the Altoona offense this past weekend, but I was going to say Matt Frazier only batted .222, but he had a .417 on base percentage, .333 slugging, 1 RBI, 3 walks, 2 Ks, and stolen base. It's his 3rd tour through Altoona, so it's kind of shit or get off the pot now. So
we started talking about that. We were going to do we'll toss out a hitter per level, and I did Altoona last on purpose because I actually had to pull up the stat just to kind of remind me of who actually, because it was a rough weekend for them hitting
Yeah,
wise.
and that's what again. I mean, it was only 3 games, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, like there'll definitely be more people starting standing out as like as we get into this week and throughout the season and everything like that. One guy though that did stand out to me, and he's a guy that I've always been like a fan of, is like more like a depth piece. But Jackson Glenn picked up 3 hits, a double. He walked twice. Just kind of turned into like a really, really solid depth player. 26 years old. Struggled his first full season in Greensboro. Came back last year. Played really solid. Came up to Altoona. He's there again. Like I said, just a really solid player. And you need those guys in the minors, even if they're not going to be someone who's going to be pushing for a major league spot, but someone who can fill a position that you have open until one of your top prospect guys can come up. Like they have Brannigan and Tamar Johnson down in Greensboro, so Glenn's kind of holding it down until then. So,
well, we kind of talked about him last week too when we were doing the roster previews, and just, I mean, he's obviously older for the level, but I still feel like he's a little underappreciated because, I mean, he hit very well last year, and that's just another one of those second tour of Altoona you want to see that it wasn't a fluke.
Still hitting, yeah. I think was that I wrote about him in the offseason, and one thing I noticed was like he started hitting like he's like one of those like launch angle guys to where like he hits the ball pretty hard, but it's always into the ground. And then going into last year, he made some sort of adjustment to the swing, got the ball in the air, and then just like he started hitting everywhere. Like he hit as many home runs in Altoona that he did in Greensboro. So like
I'm starting to wonder if those are kind of guys that are looking for it. I mean, because you just think about obviously Brian Hayes.
Yeah,
think about
just find people who can hit the ball hard. Yeah, find people that can hit the ball hard, and then you do what your coaches are supposed to do, and make them make adjustment that get the ball in the air now.
Glenn, Forrester, Trace Gonzalez, these are all guys that hit the ball really hard. Just need to get it up more.
Mm-hmm. That's what Nunez, even Nunez has had that issue too.
Yeah.
So yeah. And pitcher, one guy I mentioned real quick too, is a guy I've talked about a lot, Valentin Linares. Once he made that shift to the bullpen in Greensboro, it kind of kicked him into a new gear. The fastball started playing up higher. I think I heard the broadcast mention he hit like 97 on the gun over the weekend. I know he had that game that he pitched in spring training. He averaged like 96 and a half, something like that with the fastball. Really good slider. Pitched 2 innings. He allowed a home run, which was the only run in the game, so he got the loss. But 5 of the 6 outs were strikeouts. So he's a guy that I really feel like could sneak up. And if the Pirates really need to start digging deep into this system for arms at the end of the year, I think he's a guy that they can definitely
big extension too. Big extension guy.
So like was it like 7.5 or something like that for the So that 97 looks like 99, 100 coming at you.
Yeah, and he's a big dude too. This isn't Jared Jones, 6 foot tall, getting 7.5 feet. It's like a 6'5",
250, 260 easily. Yeah, that's a big dude. So Altoona finishing 1 and 2. Hopefully they get back on the right path next week. But shifting down to Greensboro, they had a home series against Greenville, which is the Red Sox minor league affiliate. They went 2-1. How about Greensboro? What stood out there for you?
Well, I'll start off with pitcher Hunter Barco. I know we had talked about it. I think I even was tweeted about it. It's just in the first inning he looked a little shaky. Control wasn't really there, and then there was a mound visit after a walk, and they set him straight. Whatever they said to him, because he just dominated from then on. 3 innings, no hits, 2 walks, 6 Ks. The stuff from Primo.
He was getting like misses with the fastball, and I know the fastball was the thing we were concerned about going into the season, like how that was going to play, and getting misses with that. The changeup was good. The slider was even playing well. Yeah,
that's what
that mound
I don't even think they had the. Yeah, I don't know. You went back, so at least when I was watching, I didn't even hear the announcer much at all. So
like the first 3 or 4 innings, I don't think they had any. Like nobody said anything.
Yeah,
because I wanted to listen for velo reading.
Exactly. That's what I was going
Yeah.
to say, because that was one thing we noticed in that spring breakout game. We're like, well, hold up, he's hitting 95. What? So I'm curious to see if that's like was just a um uh what's the word I'm looking for right now? Like he was pumped up throwing
Yeah.
95, or if he's only sitting like 1993, which would still be great. But
Yeah. 92, 93 with his release and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the slider and the changeup to go with it. I think 92, 93 is perfect.
So then moving on to the hitting side, the second most famous Jack Brown again. He slashed 444, 643, 778 with a homer, 3 RBIs, 4 Ks, stolen base. And the thing that impressed me the most, although again, 3 games, small sample size, he had 0 strikeouts and only 1 whiff the entire weekend.
Yep. That's his thing. That's his thing. That's the thing that's kind of holding him back from maybe taking a pretty good sized step as a prospect is cutting back on the swing and miss. And I know I talked about it on NS9. I guess we recorded that Sunday night about it. It's like, yeah, you could say something probably about him being in Greensboro and maybe he doesn't have business in Greensboro, but like all you can do is ask them to handle business where they put you. And he handled business that weekend and did exactly what probably the main thing that and I know when I talked to him, one of his main focus going into the offseason was to cut back on the swing and miss. So he did that. So
yeah, I mean, very impressive. Although ironically, Mitch Jeb had quite a bit of swing and miss this past weekend, but he's with a handful of guys that don't swing and miss a lot that can maybe teach him a thing or two, because McAdoo isn't a big whiffer. Jeb, again, he generally isn't. So hopefully they help.
Yeah, that'd be good. And they had him batting leadoff, which I like too. Take advantage a little bit of his speed on there, which I still feel like whenever I'm on Twitter and stuff like that, his speed doesn't get recognized nearly as much as it should. Everyone kind of gravitates towards the power.
Well, and even his defense too.
Yeah, his defense is top of the line on there. But as far as me, like going pitching wise, there's a couple guys there, and obviously you mentioned Barker and all that. But one guy that I've been really high on throughout the whole thing is Patrick Riley, and he was a guy. He walked 14% of hitters in college that he faced. So like the control was going to be the big question. He only walked 1 in 3 1/3, struck out 8. By my count, he had like 13 whiffs. His whiff rate, and I had to do this all by hand too because there's no StatCast. He had right at like a 60%. Yeah, no. Hey, try being on pain medicine and trying to do math like that. it was at 60. He was at like a 60% whiff rate, and he had like a mid 40 call strike whiff rate as well. So like really solid numbers. Really a lot better. I was expecting like a Carlos Jimenez type of outing from him. Like every out would be a strikeout, but also there'd be like 4 or 5 walks mixed in there. That was fully a kind of
a couple hit batters.
Yeah, it's just like utter disaster. Like he's unhittable, but like it's just no shot where it's going.
Doesn't give a single hit, but somehow gives up 5 runs.
Yeah. That's the Carlos Jimenez special. And then hitter wise, obviously we're gonna have to talk about Lonnie White Jr. a little bit. Pair of home runs. He did strike out, I think it was like 6 or 7 times. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to watch. Small sample size of a 3-day, weekend. So strikeouts could even itself out and stuff like that. But that power, I know Greensboro, you gotta approach with caution. But where he sent those opposite field, that was him. That was all him there. So that was really exciting to see.
What was I say? Just and also, and a lot of times, the whole power thing that's kind of more like your Changs, where they're not someone known for power. So it's like take a little step back. But I mean, Lonnie White, I mean, the dude was a 2-sport committed to Penn State wide receiver. So I really feel like he's an athlete. He's got power in that body.
Yeah. There's so much raw power there, And we were talking about it too because a couple of the national outlets, they were giving him like a 50 grade power thing, and he's launching home runs. I mean, the amount of power in your wrist to go right. I mean, it's like we talked about so much last year with like Dylan Cruz, watching him, like how many home runs he was hitting to right center, just like the power there. And I guess that'll be a good segue because we'll be talking about him in a little bit. But yeah, Lonnie, definitely one of those guys that, like, obviously you want to keep a close eye on the season to see how he progresses. All the skills in the world, all the tools. It's just a matter of, can he put it together to hit consistently enough, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
all right. Yeah. So last
Bradenton.
level.
Bradenton, they lost 2 or 3. I'm going to say that I kind of feel like at times they got the short end of the stick with some of the pitchers they had to face. Was a tough pitcher on rehab assignment, a college level pitcher who probably shouldn't be in low A. So a lot of the numbers offensively weren't pretty. But they won they got a good little test, and still there's a couple things that kind of stood out. But who stood out for you down at Bradenton?
Well, I mean, obviously I got to start off with a pitcher who's my cousin, Carlson Reed, who went 4 innings, 2 hits, hit batsman, 2 walks, but 6 strikeouts.
That changeup looked really good. Really good, and the slider, sweeper, whatever you want to call it, on there, those look really good. I'm excited to see more from him in a starting role. I feel like there's still some, just because he has those 2 good secondary pitches. It's just, I have questions about the fastball right now after that one game, but the slider and the changeup, those were like, he was made. Those are those pitches that are like, okay, there's no reason for those pitches to be in single A kind of thing.
Yeah, those are the types of pitches where they're average enough that you're less hitters that aren't. God, my brain is broken right now. They don't have as much experience, are just gonna whiff and whiff and whiff. But moving on to hitters, I'm gonna go with Esmeralda Valdez, who went 444, 615, 444 slash 4 for 9, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. It was kind of a level that also, again, it kind of got beat up, but it's a good start for the season for Valdez. He also gunned a dude down at third.
That was impressive.
That was pretty. Yeah,
I guess maybe I fell into the trap of the whole first base outfield profile thing. So I'm thinking, okay, well, he's just trending towards first base, so he probably doesn't have an arm or something like that. And then you mentioned it, and I went back and looked at it. Yeah, that was a cannon. That was a good draw. So, yeah. So for me, hitting wise, I mean, there's a couple people too. Like I said, it was hard to have anyone stand out too much just because of the pitching they faced. But I thought Shalene Polanco put together some really good at bats. He had a double. He went 3 for 12 total. He did strike out 4 times, but like I said, there are some tough pitchers involved with that. He's just so talented, and you could see the talent there. It's just a matter of just make some better swing decisions, and he's the kind of guy that I feel like can fly up the system because there's just so many tools there. It's not even like he only played, I think it was like 70 games last year before that injury cut the season short. Kind of felt like he was starting to figure things out. So if he can jump right out the gate and show those better swing decisions against, like, I'll give him another week to start facing more consistent pitchers that are at his level, kind of thing. And if he starts showing those kind of swing decisions, I'm gonna start wanting to buy in a lot more with him.
Which we'll get into that in a little bit. They're gonna run into one unfortunate pitcher.
Yep. And as far as pitching wise, like, I wanted to do this because he's a guy I've talked about on the site a couple times. I saw him pitch a little bit in Instructs at the end of last year. He pitched in the spring breakout game, but Christian Curtis, he's got some filthy stuff on him. It's just, I don't know if he knows where it's going when he throws it. So was a fastball hit 97. He averaged 95 with it. Big breaking curveball, threw a little bit of a cutter and a changeup. Stuff
Wait.
moved, stump jipped out his hand. It's just he threw 61 pitches, and I think 31 were for strikes. So he was like barely over 50% strike rate. So that'll
he's a
that'll
guy.
have to improve.
Yeah, and he's a guy we'll definitely be looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing like
Yeah.
the metrics like VA, because he was having like
Yeah.
single digit vertical break on his fastball,
Yeah.
which
So yeah, he might be a guy where like we start liking even more because we're really big into the shape stuff and everything like that. I do think I will have like a breakout of his, or a breakdown of his debut. That'll come out on Friday, I believe, on there. So if you're listening to this now, like kind of keep a reminder. There'll be an article out on him this Friday, kind of going deep into his pitches and all that kind of stuff. So
subscribe.
He's a guy I've really been. Subscribe to the site. He's a guy I've been interested because like the Pirates gave him an overslot deal as a 12th round pick. I think it was the 12th round. So obviously they saw something. He was ranked in the top like 250 for Pipeline and Baseball America. So they saw something. The numbers weren't really there in college. So somebody was seeing something beyond the numbers. So will definitely be a guy. Bradenton runs like a 6-man rotation. So that generally probably means he's going to pitch on Sundays. So something to keep an eye on Sundays. So,
all right. Yeah. So that was the review. Time for the preview.
Yep. So if you guys follow the site or anything at all, you'll know that Nola on Tuesday, he will release like his weekly preview article that kind of previews the matchups and who the Pirates, each system is playing and stuff like that as far as top prospects. It's really good. I love it just because it helps me kind of like prioritize who I'm watching, because if there's, if a team's going to have a bunch of good pitchers, then it's good to watch like the hitters that week and so on. So if you want, we can go and start with Indy real quick. If you want to give us a quick rundown on Indy stuff, and then we'll kind of just shoot down here.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll start off by saying if you're trying to figure out which team to focus on this week, good luck. Because
there's a lot of good stuff this week. I've read the previews.
We're going to see a lot of the Detroit Tigers and their affiliates this week, starting off in Indy, facing the Toledo Mud Hens. The biggest name is Jace Jung, the younger brother of Josh Jung, consensus top 100 prospect. And then there's Justin Henry Malloy, who was acquired from the Braves in a Joe Jimenez trade. He's a big power guy, hit 23 home runs last year. So there's going to be some good bats that is going to be a good test for these young Skeens, Preacer, all those guys. Plasmeyer, yeah.
The ace. He's the ace all of a sudden.
And then let's see. So moving on down to Altoona. This one, the battle of number one pick last year. Dylan Cruz found himself back in Double-A to start the year. I mean, he's had a rough go to start the year. I think, what was it, 1 for 13 with 7 Ks?
Like that, yeah.
Consensus top 10 pick. Joining him is Brady House, who's been rising up charts pretty quickly, showing some big pop. He had a pretty good spring.
He did. I remember, he missed a couple of years ago at when he was down in Fredericksburg, and then I caught a couple games when he came back that year, and like you could just tell like this guy's going to start taking off, and then he ended the year in Harrisburg. So
yeah, and then the infielder out of Miami, Yohandy Morales, who was another 23 draft pick by the Nationals. So there's going to be a lot of bats.
Yeah,
a lot of bats in this and Double-A as well. So again, Baba Solometo, Sullivan, Ashcraft.
I think the app has him starting on Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah,
so he'll get like the double start, and also that'd be interesting to see. We actually get our first like look at like maybe how they're going to want to use him, kind of thing. Are they going to stretch him out? They're going to let him go more than the 60 pitches, or
Yeah, I'll be
what
curious to see because it seems like everybody so far, like outside of
will limit
again,
it.
like outside of like a Plasmeyer, like they're really capping these kids off
Yeah,
to start the year. So it might only be 4 innings max, regardless, but it's definitely gonna be a great test
yeah,
for game
hmm
for Double A this week.
yeah. It's crazy how that's gone with Dylan Cruz, like Stripe because like man, like we can pull up people's tweets and it was Cruz or nothing. It was Cruz or nothing. Like people were gonna burn the city to the ground if they didn't take Dylan Cruz, and
I
now
mean,
it's like
I was cruiser nothing for like 2 years, only because
yeah,
I'd been watching him for a
yeah,
long time. But I mean, the moment I saw
yeah.
Skeens
I think
last
we were
year, I was
watching the
like,
same game that we
yeah.
were both kind of like, hey, wait a second, what's up with this?
I was like, oh, he's
Huh?
actually pretty good.
This guy's throwing 103 in the seventh inning. What?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah.
So taking it down another level, I actually at first miss misfilled out this one. Greensboro's taking on Winston Salem, the Chicago White Sox high A team. At first, I not tabulated, but put down sorted, and I thought they only had one total top 30 prospect, but that was actually low A. Um, but the Winston Salem Dash have Noah Schultz, a left-handed pitcher that was a prep pick. He's a consensus top 100 prospect. His lowest ranking is 55 on ESPN Top 100. He's been a pretty big fast riser. Gets up into the
What's he
mid
like?
high 90s.
He's like 6'8" or something like that. 6'7",
Yeah,
6'8" or something. Like
he's
he's
a
a
big boy.
big guy on that now. I want to see. I
Yeah.
want to see what the extension is. I want to see the numbers on that.
Mm-hmm. I'll say, and then another 23 pick who at one point was kind of in the talk for a top for first overall is kind of like an outlier, but he didn't really have that great of a year. Jacob Gonzalez, shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's their 7th overall. So there's again a couple good bats they're going to see this week in high A. Samuel Zavala, who also came back in the Dylan Cease trade.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
our hitters are going to be our pitchers are going to be tested this week.
Yeah. That's which is good. Which is good. We talk all the time, and all the talk about just how good the Pirates pitching prospects are. So like these are the kind of the weeks to prove that prove how good they are, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of seems like no matter what level you go at, they're going to face some sort of solid lineup or a couple of really good players. And you haven't even got to the player yet that I'm probably the most excited to see this weekend. Another 2023 guy.
Yeah, another 2023 potential first overall pick discussion. Max Clark and the Lakeland Flying Tigers, who again another Detroit Tigers affiliate. Consensus top 100 prospect, obviously. Fangraphs isn't as big of a fan of him, but at least top 20 in MLB, Baseball America, ESPN. Unfortunately, Kevin McGonigal, their competitive balance round A pick, is injured, 7-day DL. So technically, he could come off Friday, I believe.
Okay.
But from what I read, it's a hamstring injury. They're saying late April, early May,
Okay.
so unlikely.
Well, they play him a couple times this year. Lakeland was
Mhm.
actually one of the series. Is like they play him again. I think in like June in Bradenton.
Mhm.
And that was one of the weeks I was debating going down there. So maybe I can see Max Clark. But then
Could be a
also
cool
I kind
one.
of thought, well, June, if Max Clark is who I thought he was, there's probably a good chance he's gone by then. So
That's possible.
yeah. So
And then
but
kind of
yeah.
going back to your the unfortunate Bradenton hitters, Sawyer Gibson Long is on rehab currently.
Mhm.
I'd have to guess he gets one more at least in low A. But he had 4 MLB starts last year with a 2.7 ERA, so they're probably gonna have some fun with that if he's
Yeah,
throwing.
Probably be
So,
another rough game. Like I said,
yeah.
The strikeout numbers aren't going to do the break. I mean, to be fair, there's some guys that are going to swing and miss that are playing there. So like it's probably not going to change too much. But yeah, the Bradenton got the short end of the stick, and it sounds like they may get a little bit of it again this week on there. But
it's early in the season, so yeah,
Yeah.
all the guys that got injured during spring getting their extra innings in to build up. So
yeah, sounds gonna be a fun week. Anything of all that stuff? Anything like one particular that you're looking forward to the most? Kind of seeing any particular matchup or anything?
I mean, honestly, that the AA is probably going to be the one that I really want to pay attention to, just because I mean, there's some big boppers.
Yeah.
And nationals.
I want to see Max Clark.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Max Clark. And apparently Lakeland has a stream now. That's what it looked like. So if they don't, I'm gonna be a little
with the times.
Be a little brokenhearted. Yeah, I'm gonna be a little brokenhearted if I looked at that wrong and there's no stream and I got to go a whole week without that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Max Clark play as long as that's a thing. And see some of the other Bradenton pitchers that we haven't seen yet. And then Greensboro, we still haven't seen Dotel or Kalani yet.
Yeah, it started to kind of worry me. I'm like, should I drop him for my fantasy team? Or?
Yeah. So it sounds like a fun week coming up. Nola, you got anything else really any Nola knowledge for us this week?
Nola knowledge is, if you're someone that shaved your head, make sure to not go too long in between shaves because it's a little rough when it starts getting long.
That's fair. And I will drop some knowledge and to say if it appears that you have gallbladder issues, do not wait multiple years to get it checked because it doesn't end well, or it's not fun. That was an experience I don't want to go through again. And I told my girlfriend that I will be far less stubborn with stuff in the future because that was painful. So
yeah, next they'll go for your kidney or something. So
yeah. I asked them though if there's anything else they could take out, but they wouldn't take anything else out. So I guess I'm good. But outside of that, if you wanted to go and drop, I mean, you got your Twitter handle there, but if you want to go through your socials and if you're working on anything or anything of the such, or go ahead. This is your outro.
Well, at Nola Jeffy, as you see below, NOLAJEFFY. Outside of my regular Tuesday preview article, been super busy, so I haven't really been diving into writing anything outside of that. So
that's fair. We got games now, so now the stuff will start clicking now.
Yeah, so hopefully things will start flowing.
Yeah. It's tough. Like the off season and get into the season is so hard to kind of find stuff to do. That So yeah, no, I feel that. But I don't know. Go ahead. You had anything else?
Well, no, I was just going to go off of what you said a little bit. Just as much games as we watch, it's just once the season starts is when you start picking up on little things like. I don't know if you went back and watched video yet. Like we both said something about like Mitch Jebb, where we're like, wait, did he change his swing a bit?
So, I feel like I haven't double checked or I haven't looked that hard into it, but I do feel like at least his stance is a little bit different. I haven't noticed if anything with the load and all that other stuff. I'll kind of have to dig deep to find the video to try to do that. But this is the fun part because we'll see because even Bubba Chandler, his delivery looks slightly different on there. It took pulling it up to really recognize it, but this is a fun time of year, new stuff. This is why I love following prospects and stuff like that. You get to see the changes and stuff like that they make as they try to make their way up.
And it'll probably be, once we start getting some more of the minor league data, because then we can start talking more about like some of these at least low A pitchers, like their Va and Ha and all that fun stuff.
fun stuff that I know everyone is just as excited as we are to hear about. But for me, you follow me on Twitter at @double_Murphy88. This podcast should be available on all platforms now. If it's not, then I did something wrong, and which wouldn't surprise me. But this should be available on all platforms now. Bucks on Deck. Make sure you subscribe. We have I have a weekly breakdown video article. This week it's going to be on Christian Curtis. Got some other stuff. I got talking about some of the Bradenton guys to watch. It's Wednesday college baseball / MLB draft stuff. A lot of baseball, a lot of fun stuff. Every day you can come in and talk with other Pirates fans about the game going on. Nola does a really good job, like driving it, conversation and whatnot like that. Ryan, I believe he'll have some, or Ethan will have a new article out this week as well, going over the payroll. I got to get with him to double check on the date or the day that it's going to come out, but he'll have something. But yeah, lots of great stuff going on. Bucks on Deck, first full season covering the team. Really excited what we got going on.
Bod Squad.
Let's go. But thank you everyone for tuning in, and have a great day.
See you next week.
Let's go.